Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Oh, good morning, everybody. All right, we're going to jump right in because there's a lot to cover. So starting off, these two pictures are plates from the 1937 King George VI and 1939 King George VI and Queen Elizabeth when they visited Canada for 5 days. These plates belong to the person's grandmother. She has inherited them. She forwarded them to me so I could see them. I think that's absolutely fabulous. She said I could use her name. So Charlotte, thank you for sharing. We have a lot to cover. Let's get there. To start off, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward were seen riding near Windsor Castle. Yes, that's security with them, but I believe the security is there for Edward since he is now the Duke of Edinburgh. And yeah, the housing thing is still going on, but I'm not reporting on that anymore because nobody really knows what's happening. As soon as we have absolute info, I'll pass that on. All right, moving on. Next up, we have Princess Anne. She's the Colonel-in-Chief of the 8th Canadian Hussars, I think is how you say it. Don't forget, she's in Canada. She attended the 175th anniversary concert and gave a speech on May 19th. All right, moving on. Next up, on May 17th, William, the Prince of Wales, met with submariners who rowed across the Atlantic at Eton College Rowing Center, and also for Mental Health Month, he did a rowing thing himself. He and Catherine both very outdoorsy. I love it. Sticking with William, on May 19th, he received the Right Honorable Michael Grove, who's Secretary of State for Leveling Up Housing, because he's the joint patron of the Royal Foundation. And yeah, he met him at Windsor Castle. Wonderful. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is bees, because apparently Queen Camilla has bees, and her honey gets sold with the proceeds going to the Silver Line in the UK. I have to admit, I had no idea that honey was produced at the different royal residences. All right, I have to admit, yeah, I never would have thought Catherine would do this. Not because she's not outdoorsy, not because she's not capable, but because they're bees. I wouldn't have done it, but yeah, so this picture came up and I'm like, that's not Catherine. And then I zoomed in on the face. Yes, that is Catherine. And she's doing something with the bees. Ugh. So once again, I did not realize that the royal family keeps bees, but it's on the website. So here's some info. Apparently, Buckingham Palace has 4 beehives. They live on an island in the middle of the lake. In the center of the garden at Clarence House, there's 2 beehives which live in the garden. Now, they've apparently planted what they call nectar plants that grow on the island and in the gardens. Now, Queen Camilla became president of the Bees for Development in 2020, and this is a charity that reduces poverty and improves biodiversity in over 50 countries around the world. They do that by training beekeepers. I did not know that. Now, apparently the king likes honey in his tea. The queen was extremely proud of their honey producing, and she even gave Pope Francis a jar in 2014 as a gift at their first meeting. Just as an FYI, it was reported on the website that the Clarence House beehives produce 40 pounds of honey a year with over 90,000 bees. Now, the royals put out a statement, a lovely statement. You can freeze the screen and read it. But this is once again another, thing that I didn't know that they did. And there it is. Wonderful. All right, time to leave the royals and move on to the other people. Here we go. Oh, I hadn't thought of this until I saw somebody else suggest it. That Meghan dressed in gold because that's what Charles was wrapped in. I didn't even put the two together, but now that people have suggested it, I see it. And even the fabric of the dress, in my opinion, somewhat resembles the fabric of that vestment that Charles was wearing. What do you guys think? Let's move on now to what happened after the awards ceremony with these pictures and some other pictures that I looked a little bit closer as. First of all, Harry looks absolutely stricken in these photos. He looks very upset. But if you look at Meghan sitting next to him, she is literally smirking in her seat. So here's what I see. First of all, we're going to cover this again. Harry thinks that he's in danger and he pulls out his phone and he starts taping. Meghan, as you can see here, is looking past Harry out the window, in my opinion, and she's smiling. Then you look at this, Harry's taping, and Meghan, again, has a slight smirk on her face. Doria's just looking down. Then you see it from this angle. Harry's taping, Meghan is smiling. Literally, you can just feel it. In her head, she's thinking, oh, this is so perfect. He's triggered. We're getting it on camera. Here come the paps, just like we wanted. And the mother's just sitting there. Look, I don't even know what she's doing. But anyway, what caught me was this one. So apparently, I don't know if Harry put his phone down or Meghan took it and handed it to Doria to say, look at this, and did you get enough footage? But it's his hands that have caught my attention, because it's pretty obvious that he's using some sort of coping mechanism at this point because he's been completely triggered. That is so obvious. And I completely agree with this Twitter user. If you are a wife and you see your husband doing this, wouldn't you be yelling at the paparazzi to get away? Wouldn't you be comforting him in some fashion? No, she's busy looking at social media and completely ignoring Harry. So this fake chase, which I firmly, in my opinion, believe was set up, was then picked up by like Gayle King, Oprah's friend. And of course, oh, it's just like Diana. And she showed pictures of Diana's car crash. We all know what really went on here. It's come out in the media. This was nothing but a complete setup and a big fail. And now people in New York are actually they're going to find an attorney that's willing to file a lawsuit. How much you want to bet? And let me tell you something else that I've noticed. Whenever Meghan is going to give an award or give a speech or do whatever, she brings Harry with her. Harry is almost shielding her. But when he has to go do things, she's nowhere to be found. And I really like what this person said. The truth is, their biggest problem is that Meghan wants to be an influencer, but she has no actual position or influence. And Harry has failed to understand that his only currency is with the royal family, which he's pushed away. Now, interesting, Van72 made an interesting point here. Wouldn't it be funny, since they couldn't get the discount, that they tried to talk somebody in the royal family into letting them stay at some of the royal apartments that supposedly they own? That would be interesting, because let me tell you, it was said on the news that from where the paparazzi took their photos, they were only staying, it looks like 2 blocks over. I am happy to report, as we already know, the NYPD is investigating. But let me tell you, and this is true, the NYPD, if they investigate and find that they did this or they lied, they'll be forced to pay for the investigation at all costs. Their story now is continuing to change, where we know they pulled into a police station parking lot. Now they said they went to the police station multiple times and went in, which is not what the police are reporting. Very interesting. Now, one of William's friends came out and said, Catherine and William have had to put up with this kind of stuff in the past, and it was never like this. He said, and I'm quoting, everyone understands Harry's anger at the photographers, but you can't go around making hysterical statements, especially when, as the Queen might have said, recollections may vary. It's coming out now that it's Harry's security team that was driving on the wrong side of the road, blocking roads and being aggressive and almost hitting people. Yeah, that's what's coming out now. We also know from the taxi driver that nobody was really in danger. We know this. Have you guys ever noticed that Harry claims PTSD from the flashing of bulbs? But like, for instance, when they were in New York on their fake royal tour at the 911 memorial, the cameras were flashing like crazy and it didn't seem to bother him. Have you noticed that it doesn't bother him when there's money involved? Now, we know from Omen and other sources that they wanted the royal family, Harry and Meghan wanted the royal family to reach out. They were distressed that they didn't do so. But then you see this. It is confirmed that the royal family does not give, information out on non-working royals to respect their privacy. There you go. The royal family has never uttered their names. It's coming out that, we know they lied, but now there's video that shows that Harry and Meghan were accompanied by the police and they were barely moving. Matter of fact, the video shows that so slow were they going that their security even got out of the car. So like I told you before, they said they were involved in a car chase, but now we know there really was no chase. They said there were dozens of cars following them, and we now know that there was 3 cars and a bike with a total of only 4 photographers. They said it went on for 2 hours. Even the mayor has said no to that. So Neil Sean came out and said Harry and Meghan realized they may have gone too far. And so now they're trying to think about how to fix the problem. And one thing being discussed is that they're going to do makeup and a filter and put out some sort of a very carefully crafted statement to try to undo the damage. Now, it's also being said that they should apologize directly to the mayor of New York. Because and Neil Sean reported on this too, because it's, tourist season. So now for the mayor of New York, it looks like Harry and Meghan are going to write him a private letter, of course. But now the people in New York are up in arms. They don't want free police protection being given to Harry and Meghan, which could translate to other stars. They don't think it should be given for free when New York has so many other issues. I happen to agree. Do you guys remember, I'm sure you all do, when Harry and Meghan said that they never claimed the royal family was racist, that it was the, press who did that? Well, they're saying now that they never said it was a high-speed chase, that it was relentless, right? You have to look at the wording of it. It was relentless. It was near catastrophic. It was highly aggressive. There were multiple near collisions. Now we know what this means. What that means is what the NYPD said. There were no collisions, no crashes. Nobody was arrested. If you sneeze the wrong way in New York, you get arrested. Well, Olin on GB News had something to say about this, and I think he summed it up perfectly. Just listen to this.
We're told from their spokesman, whose statements make the Kremlin sound trustworthy, that they had a near catastrophic accident. As near catastrophic as the Oprah Winfrey non-interview, perhaps, in which they poured a bucket of the brown stuff over the royal family and the institution of the monarchy. Now that television debacle is what I would call a car crash. And how can you base a story around something that didn't happen? Nearly catastrophic. What does that mean? I'm nearly Mr. Universe. I'm nearly a billionaire. I'm nearly dating Julia Roberts, just not quite.
Get it, guys? All right, now let's move on. I just want to update this story that supposedly the hotel in Montecito has a room for Harry. Apparently, Harry and Meghan have denied this in the strongest sense, not true. All right, moving on. This next story really got me. Remember, either the day before they left or after they had left, a stalker was supposedly arrested lurking outside their home. Now, this is interesting, the wording. It's an alleged stalker, and let me explain why. It said that they were detaining somebody at an entrance to the property. It's that word "an," and let me explain. To get into their neighborhood, you have to get through a gate just to get on the street. Then to get into their property, there's another gate. So hear me out. Remember when there was that supposed fire and Meghan cried, "Oh, these poor people made me continue to work after my baby was almost killed." Of course, we know now there really was no fire, but do you guys remember that? Well, supposedly there's a stalker outside their property where their young children were, but yet they didn't go home. Oh, no, she wasn't going to pass up the chance to go pick up an award. Next up, as usual, Omid Scobie's got his hand in something, taking jibes at Princess Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Let me explain. Omid is apparently good friends with somebody named Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson, it's being reported, works at Disney. So we all know that The Little Mermaid is being set to be released. And apparently, in The Little Mermaid, they take a swipe at Catherine's name. And one of Megan's friends, this Chopra woman, I can't even pronounce her first name. Apparently, she's in some show on Amazon called The Citadel. And in the show, she makes a crude sexual insult towards Catherine, the Princess of Wales. It probably was written into the show. How much do you want to bet that she probably suggested the line? Apparently, at some point, she says to somebody says, I need you to, I don't know, get me in somewhere. And her response is, you might as well have asked me how to get in between the legs of the Duchess of Cambridge. How disgusting. Amazon should be very careful. Look what happened to Netflix. All right, moving on. There is a group that is working on grandparents' rights. It's called Fathers for Justice. It fights for fathers to have access to their children. And it's asking Megan to let her children meet their grandfathers, both of them. I find it interesting that she whined, on Netflix that her children don't have cousins and family. They do. She's just not letting them have access. All right, moving on. All right, our last story for today. You guys remember Bethenny Frankel. I've spoken to you about her before. She's wonderful. And when the Oprah interview happened, she spoke out and she said she lost deals. She got calls, threatening calls from people. One of the people I believe was Oprah. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I believe. But she's one of those people. She's going to stand up for what she believes in no matter what. She said, and I'm quoting, I got destroyed and I lost business deals and it wasn't fun. But now that this is happening, people are finally catching up to me. You go, girl. And she basically pointed out they're finished, which I agree. Well, you guys, this stuff just keeps going. Just keeps going. Oh, make those comments, put them in below, make them good. You guys know I want them, okay? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you've already hit the button, double check, make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget that the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, everything is in the description box. If you've donated money through the coffee fund or through my thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.